Alright, Blue Eye Samurai, boy. The 8 episodes, 30 minutes apiece. The first episode is like an hour, so let's just go ahead and check this out. Starts up with this guy walking down this path, he got blue eyes, and guess what? It's a samurai. He ends up going to the spot to get some food. This guy ends up serving him by the name of Choji. Now, Choji doesn't even have any hands. But he's also got served this other dude by the name of Hachi. Now, Hachi, he's what you call a flesh trader. He sells women. He gets the soup for Blue Eyes, tastes it, delicious. Then he tries to get the soup for Hachi, accidentally ends up spilling it on him. So Hachi ends up pulling out his gun. And Blue Eyes gets in the way and basically rectifies his shit real quick. Apparently, he's been following Hachi the whole time, so he's thinking to himself, he's like, oh, who got sold this gun to you? Some dude by the name of Henji Shido. So she chops off more of this guy's fingers, destroys the damn gun, and now she's on the way to find Henji Shindo. So Blue Eyes is going on this path, all of a sudden she finds out that Choji's following her and shit. Choji's like, he found his calling in life, he wants to be a samurai too. So basically, Blue Eyes just ties him up to a tree, was like, alright, look, chill out. Then Blue Eyes ends up going to pray into this temple. Now we get some backstory on Blue Eyes when he was little. He was getting chased by these 5 boys. They ended up chasing him to a cliff and they were basically about to put him to death. Now why? Because Blue Eyes' father was white and his mom committed suicide. So you're thinking to yourself like, the fuck? So the leader of the guys is about to clutch Blue Eyes with a rock, and all of a sudden a blue meteor just hits out of nowhere. They all just start scattering. I'm like, oh fuck? All of a sudden this old man comes out of nowhere. Eventually they start calling him the Sword Father. You'll find out why in a minute. But Blue Eyes ends up helping the Sword Father pick up this meteor and put it in a daggone wagon. So the thing about the Sword Father is he's blind, so he's thinking he's picking up some type of metal. So after he gets the metal to the hut, he basically tells Blue Eyes to go about his business. But obviously, Blue Eyes can't go back home, and on top of that, it starts raining. So he pretends like he sneaks out and then ends up going in the other room to go to sleep. But the Sword Father ain't stupid. He knows Blue Eyes is still there. So he ends up getting Blue Eyes to make tea, you know what I'm saying, build up swords and stuff like that, which now you know why he called the Sword Father. And Shorty basically just makes Blue Eyes his apprentice. And the reason I keep saying Blue Eyes is because they ain't told us his name yet. And then it gets to a point where Blue Eyes actually wants to do some sword training. Because she wants to take revenge on 4 of these white guys, one of them actually being her father, and it turns out he thinks that his mom was murdered by them and not committed suicide. Now we go back to regular time where Blue Eyes ends up getting into this gate or whatever like that. This gate just happens to have where the Shindo temple is. And she ends up talking to these guys, they end up getting her into like the Shindo hotel, which is obviously where Blue Eyes does not want to go. But all of a sudden this tent breaks down, turns out Choji's right behind the tent. We're like, how the fuck did he get off the tree and then follow Blue Eyes? So to get him off the trail, she ends up buying 3 nights just for him. And it's basically like a brothel. So basically, Choji's about to be given the business. Now, while she's on the way to the temple, end up going across this bridge, everybody has to stop for a minute because Princess Nasim is coming back. Princess Naim, how do I pronounce her name? Princess A, that's what we're going to call her. Now, the thing is, she's been planning this speech for her father. And what kind of speech is it? Now, apparently, her father wants her to automatically get married with somebody with wealth and power and things of that nature, right? Especially because her father actually came from, like, fish farmers and poor and prosperity and whatnot, right? When she gets to her father, the speech doesn't go as smoothly until he starts talking about this warrior by the name of Taijin. Now, apparently, Taijin has knocked off 24 people, has been undefeated, right? We find out Taijin's father actually was a poor fisherman or whatever like that to come up and do great heights and, you know, be of wealth and prosperity and things of that nature, right? But here's the thing. The thing is, Taijin, the princess, has always wanted to marry Taijin in the first place. So he comes off noble, you know what I'm saying? They trade each other's gifts and things of that nature, and they're like, oh, snap, we're really going to get married. It's really going to happen. Boy, this shit's going to take a turn. So now Blue Eyes finally makes it to the temple, right? And he's got this message to give. The thing is, they're not going to let it get straight to the master. So Blue Eyes is like, well, since you let me in, you know what I mean? It's customary to give him something to eat or whatever like that. He's like, all right, yeah, you get something to eat, and then you leave. Then we get this scene with Blue Eyes and the Sword's father, you know what I'm saying, back in the day or whatever. Turns out, Blue Eyes has been with the Sword Father for a long time to get up to this point. He's been able to craft all these different types of metals and things of that nature. The only thing the Sword Father couldn't craft was a daggone blue meteor. Yeah. So when Blue Eyes wanted to train to be a samurai, the Sword Father was there, and there was also another person there that was helping her train. So we get this scene with the Shindo people basically trying to kick Blue Eyes out, but then Blue Eyes is like, all right, I had enough of this. Then he starts whipping this dudes, whipping their candy ass. Then we get this scene with Tiger, and turns out he's actually inside the temple, and turns out he's some type of playboy or whatever like that. He's basically just using the princess so he can get his, you know, foot in the power. I was just like, wow. Then after all the students get their candy ass whooped, it's Blue Eyes against Tiger, and then Tigan sees the eyes, and then we find out Tigan was actually the leader of the boys that was trying to kill Blue Eyes back in the day. I'm like, the fuck? So then Blue Eyes pulls out this mean-ass blue sword because, you know what I'm saying, he says, nobody's been worthy of, you know, being able to fight me with an actual sword. So he pulls out the sword, and then that's when we find out Blue Eyes was actually able to forge that sword out of the blue meteor, something that the sword master could not do. Blue Eyes ends up beating Tiger, and all of a sudden, right after Blue Eyes is almost about to kill him, and all of a sudden the master comes out. Turns out the master is Haiji Shindo's brother, And he was the one that helped train Blue Eyes years ago. So he basically tells her the location of his brother because he's on some other, some other random crazy shit. So after he gets this information, they like, you know what? Send the 4 horsemen at them. We're going to finish the niggas off. So we think to ourselves, who the fuck are the 4 horsemen? Then Blue Eyes is walking. He ends up getting to this hot spring or whatever like that. Turns out he ended up getting cut. He had to sew himself back together, whatever like that, but then gets caught off guard, turns around, finds out Choji standing there. I'm like, what the heck is he doing there? Then we find out Blue Eyes is actually a girl. I'm like, what? There was a lot of different things that happened in the first episode. Shit's gonna be insane. I already know what it is. Blah, blah. The first episode's an hour. Every episode after that is like 30 minutes apiece. Blue Eye Samurai, check that shit out. You already know what time it is. Yeah, on Netflix.